less than it used to be, but apparently in the 80s it was like literally 3 years. So I was talking to a
Okay, so I'm just a few decades late.
yeah, just a little bit. I was talking to a
Step
cab
fast.
driver who was very nice
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But yep. So we'll see you
Cool.
young again one day.
I believe it.
Okay. That weird cannon rush on the same exact map aside, you know, refresh here. We got a TVZ. That's the coffee that Maynard needs to give us 100% in this cast.
This is gonna wake me the hell up. This series.
Yeah.
I'm so
Oh, yeah. Okay. In the top right, as the Red Terran, he is Jinair's Maru.
And in the bottom left, recently knocked down the losers bracket. This is soO. One of my favorite Zergs in the whole world. In fact, Katowice last year, he was my pick to win it. And that's because at the time, I was under the impression that soO was the best Zerg in the whole world. But then this rogue kid comes along, and he's like, nah, son, I'm the champ, okay? All right. So just at that time, I was watching a lot of soO online, and I was just so impressed with soO's games online at the time that I was really predicting soO to do really well in Katowice last year. Feels bad. I really wanted him to get further than... I think soO got it to like... I think he actually got eliminated in the round of 76. Like, it was really really not good run. Like, it was nowhere near what I expected.
That's always feels bad when that happens. I don't really remember, to be honest. Like, a year ago seems like more than a year ago, and that's already a long time, right? But it seems like a decade ago. The meta was so different. Our whole world was the idea that Koreans would never lose to a foreigner, right? Like, everything feels like it's changed from almost exactly a year ago. And oh, was soO good back then? I mean, I believe it. soO being, you know, bombing out in the round of 70 whatever. Like, I also believe that. That's probably how it went down. But soO, just like Innovation, I guess, like, these guys, they share, well, I guess Innovation doesn't, soO doesn't share a lot of the first place trophies that Innovation does, but they seem to go down and up and down and up and down and up.
That is very true. And off the back of that, I have to bring up that this is the first time, I think in a year, that I've seen Maru play multiple series in a tournament where there is all these structures in his main. I'm not even embellishing. It's been about a year.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen him in the TVP yet, so he might just be still...
That is true. That is true. That said, though, I got sent in a replay on my channel, which was a Maru versus Classic ladder game, and he didn't proxy in that either. And that was a recent game.
Huh. Adapting.
I mean, it was just ladder. They were chatting a lot. It was, yeah.
Okay.
It might not have been serious. Maybe if he plays as TVP in a tournament like this, he's like, nah, I'm gonna whip out the proxy factory.
Sorry, guys. I actually accidentally put best of 5 because, well, we were just casting 2 best of 5s back to back, but we're back.
Just want it so badly.
Yeah, that too. We're back to best of 3s until the next series, actually. So, my bad. It is just a best of 3. I was gonna say, hey, in a best of 5, we probably will see Maru try some proxy, 4x, 0x, whatever. But in a best of 3, maybe he does just. I mean, actually, he might still throw on a proxy, but. This guy didn't literally get all of his wins of 2018 based off of proxies. There were a lot of really good macro games, and the meta certainly has shifted a little bit. He might even be a lot more favorable to the Widowmine pressure that is now available.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though, you know, Maru did proxy a lot, it wasn't always the proxies that won him the game. Against Protosses, I think they did, but against Zergs and other Terrans, they actually ended up turning into a regular game afterwards. Like, I remember his series against TY in the grand finals of the 3rd season of GSL. He was just like, he would, you know, Maru would proxy a lot, but TY would hold it, and then it would turn into a regular game, and it'd be really exciting and really fun. You know, really good series. Yeah. Ooh, Hellbat Banshee. My man. This is a build I like to whip out every now and then in TVZ.
Well, soO is not having Overlord going back in there. He did see that there was Cloak on the way. He saw a Tekla being out in the barracks, so probably going to be going in that stim. But he was unable to get back in and see that there was an armory in the natural too, so maybe he really wouldn't be able to scout it. But he's not even trying to, so hopefully he's got some good defense. And honestly, against a Hellbat attack, you know, sometimes that defense is literally just having enough creep spread with a decent number of queens microing. With the Banshee included, you know, there's obviously the problem of detection too, but There's actually nothing to help all these queens. There's not even that many of them.
No, and these banelings being morphed sort of retroactively here, like as a result of the Hellbats already being on this third, which is never a good sign. The Banshee is here and can actually start to pick off a few of those banelings if she wanted to, but it's prioritizing pick off those queens. The dancing back and forth is giving soO the time to get these banelings up, but Maru is Maru, and he is splitting these Hellbats well enough to take very minimal damage from these banelings.
An Overseer is on the way to deal with that pesky Banshee, but it looks like the transfuses and the number of queens is going to be enough. The banelings finally get those solid connections, and soO dealt with that with as much grace as possible, despite not being immediately prepared.
Yeah, that was quite nice, especially considering he wasn't immediately prepared. He was morphing the banelings as the Hellbats were at his third. He gets a nice connection on a couple of those banelings as the Hellbats retreated as well. Maru potentially not even looking at them. He's going for his third base now and going into a pretty regular follow-up of what looks to be Marine and... let's have a look at the add-ons here on the factory. So Marine tank. But a lot of Terrans these days, your innovations, Marus, TYs, etc., they've been liking getting that second factory with a reactor, and then we're researching drilling claws once the armory is up. And as we know, Maru already has an armory because he went for a Hellbat attack.
These two Banshees are going to find a queen, it looks like. Okay.
All right. A stiff breeze will kill that queen.
Yes, it will. They're going to go for a gas geyser, which sometimes seems like a very funny thing to kill, but it actually can be quite a disturbance to the flow, the macro flow. And soO is trying to go for a bit faster mutas. And some other builds, you know, some people get those upgrades first. So he is looking to get as many as possible, as quick as possible. Did Maru have any scout on that spire? I hear a scan that's just for the creep spread. No, he has not scouted the spire, but it is what's becoming more and more common. So maybe he's, I mean, he's not getting any missile turrets, but he might be mentally prepared for it.
Praise the esports gods for Lingbane Muta coming back into this matchup. It is so fun to play against and really exciting to watch, especially when it's high level. Two medevacs are flying out. This is kind of awkward thing about this Muta timing is that, you know, there are a lot of your army, especially if your army's somewhere else, you know, guarding the third base, so they can't actually deal with the medevacs once they've unloaded, but they catch them in transit, or they come in after the banelings come in, and suddenly Maru no longer gets away scot-free like he, you know, kind of anticipates to if he's playing against Hydras, for instance, or less fast mutas. And they do fully unload. A lot of creep tumors here to kill, but I'm going for those. He also has 1-1 finished up during this drop as well, so it's a brilliant timing drop here from Maru. These Lings don't have any upgrades just yet except for speed, and these Marines actually can stand and fight for quite a while against these Lings, but the banelings not so much. He picks up and gets on out of there and doesn't lose a single unit. The Muta's coming into the main base looking for some SCV kills. They might have gotten a few there. Yeah, 3 SCVs gone down. Maru did post with Game Heart. Ryung didn't teach him completely. Right. But 18 drones went down, so, you know, the Mutas didn't really end up working out there, because not only did they not kill a lot of SCVs, they weren't here to help clean up the Marines or even try to chase down the medevacs. So now they're in even lower numbers. That last one, week one gets sniped off. Maru has a big old push coming down the middle of the map too. His macro is flowing. He has a second factory now on the way. soO has some decent creep spread, but that is something that Maru is quickly taking care of, and he is finding that nice little spot on this left side of the base where, you know, they're tanks. They siege up here. If they're not, it's still some place to retreat back to where there's some pesky widow mines. Yeah, this is a lovely spot, and that second factory is coming up here for Maru with widow mines in production. He has detected now, obviously, for the last minute or so that he's up against Lingbane Muta. These tanks have got a nice spread here as well, and the Marines are there to protect them from the Mutas counterattacking. And he's got one tank here on the low ground with a handful of Marines. And the low ground should be able to get cleaned up here by soO, but those high ground tanks are very, very annoying to deal with as the Zerg. soO will have to probably attack from several angles here to clean up Maru as cost efficiently as possible, and he's going to do that just now. It's coming in from different angles, but the top side wasn't a whole lot. Tanks are trying to focus fire the banelings, but it looks like it might just be enough for soO, sorry, to push this back. Oh, he's being so careful. Yeah, he started stepping against banelings here, and his target fire is actually quite nice. Marines coming in from the reinforcements as well. Can Maru hold on and not lose these structures at the front line here? Widow mines, a lot of widow mines. Oh. One gets picked off, the other one manages to borrow. And the most important thing for Maru here is that he gets his production up and he doesn't have to cancel that CC, and that was a little bit of a danger there as that Ling Muta counterattack was coming on him. Yeah, that was a little scary, but there's also, like, there's, I think, 5 widow mines in total burrowed there, and soO could have lost a lot trying to continue to engage.
That could have been a good snowball effect, though, so it's not like the decision to do that was bad, only if he had stuck around a little bit longer. The game continues. The 4th base was saved. Most of the drones were saved. 5th base now on the way. Not really a lot of creeps to protect that, but soO is already on top of that problem. The middle of the map, too, is actually going quite smoothly. Maru is also matching that macro, man. 4th base already on the way. No harassment from the mutas in quite some time. Looks like they're going to start things up again soon.
Yeah, he's been having a pretty lovely game here against soO. Just going link bang muta and approaching towards 5 o'clock here, the 10.5 minute mark. The mutas are just finding whatever damage they can, which, to be honest, there's not been a whole lot. They haven't been able to do much here for soO. Like getting a couple supply depots is nice. Any free damage is nice, but as far as slowing Maru down, it hasn't been able to do that too much here. This army isn't really an army that can break through Maru's defensive location, but if he moves out, which it looks like he might be doing right now, then he potentially could break through. These Marines are all in their lonesome. A lot of units pulling off the left-hand side as well.
Are there any medevacs with that, or is it just...
No.
It's probably just looking for a handful of lings and banelings, and instead it's going to find the army. Oopsies!
Yeah, the mutas and the lings and banes rolling on in here. A lot of the banelings are on the right-hand side, and most of the lings got cleaned up on the left-hand from the reinforcement bio of Maru here. Repairing that last supply depot, and also throwing in Thors in the mix, as well as his winter mines, going very, very anti-ling bane muta. The Thor has lost an armor point. It's not as good as it used to be, but it is still very, very good against Meatlisks.
Oh, yeah. It's also a hassle for sometimes the banelings. If you know, the 1 second that you don't specifically click on the Marine, suddenly all of them go to a Marauder or God forbid a Thor. Doesn't work out so well. So they're still a good addition. 5th base is already on the way for Maru, so we are getting ourselves into a nice little macro game, despite any attempts from Maru to end it a little bit earlier than that. So recovering off some, you know, he's been on the back foot for a little while, the Hellbent attack and the attack on that 4th base, but it seems like he's really got things under control. Now he's on his way to a hive. Open speech is finished up to help with the Widow Mines too.
Yeah, looks like Mutas took a bit of a shell in there, but not too much. Mainly the ground army of soO got cleaned up, but he's got plenty of it left here on the creep, and soO's, speaking of the creep, has been cleaned up from the last half of the map from Maru, who's hitting from 2 different angles here. The army on the right-hand side, tons of units on the right-hand side, and tons of units on the left-hand side from Maru, splitting up his forces. The Widow Mine's connecting okay there, but the Baneling's connecting even better against that bio, and soO takes a good engagement on the left-hand side of the map here. But the right-hand side looks like he might be losing a hatchery.
Well, there's no medevacs here, so that is the trade-off, I guess. Yeah, everything's going to be cleaned up on this left side. The right side grabs a hatchery, but as far as just purely 300 minerals goes, I'm not sure that's a big deal for soO. Maybe if he loses this base too, it starts to get to be a bigger deal, but there is an entire Zerg army swamping over Maru's 3rd and possibly into his production.
I think so. The front door is being blown open here by these Banelings. soO has correctly identified that Maru does not have that much splash damage left, so Banelings and Mulas are just rolling on through here. There's a bunch of Widow Mines in the main base, and soO could potentially lose the rest of these Banelings to them, but the main thing that Maru's going to try and do here is save as many command centers as possible. Looks like the natural is going to die. The 3rd is getting lifted into the main base. And he has that 4th planetary as well. The Widow Mines on the front lines with a small force, which, like you mentioned, doesn't have medevac support. They're actually doing all right here. They've killed a lot of units from soO at the front line.
The Widow Mines are all out of juice. They won't be killed. There's no detection for them, but they're also not helping a very lonesome army. Now, Maru might have just lost his natural orbital, but he saved his 3rd, and he had two extra command centers already built, which of course he's turning into at least 1 orbital, and look like that one will replace his natural. So that is a weird thing to be able to look at when an engagement like that happens. Usually that's just the all-inning, you know, 4 base Terran, but it's not. It was a 6 command center Terran who just killed 2 of his opponent's hatcheries.
Yeah, he's lost a bit of his army supply here, but still more where that came from. You know, he's down 20 army supply against a guy that's going Lingbane Muta, which just isn't too bad for Terran because he's got a lot of splash damage here with his Widow Mines. And as we see, the modern Zerg does need overseers with that army in this matchup. The Sterling Claws Widow Mines really can be a bad time for Zerg now. More Thor's being thrown in the mix. We see that tier 3 is being kicked into gear here for soO's getting 3-3 Adrenal. Hive is done, so maybe you can start to head towards Ultras as well, which are wonderful against this kind of unit composition. And there's that Ultra Cavern, as I mentioned. That Maru is still just powering on Bio, Mine, and Thor here, and hasn't, you know, made any Liberators, no Ghost Academy, no nothing like that. I guess Liberators make a little bit more sense, but it's an army that's going to stop being super useful against a good number of Ultras if soO gets there.
These units do a +2 attack and a solid count of 15, maybe. You know, if it was still based around that layer, it'd be up to 20, but 15's good. They'll take down missile turrets. Even if they're, like, last-second repair, they'll probably tear them down. So Maru will always have to be wary. of those mutas entering into his economy, entering into his production, which, by the way, he did lose production facilities on the front line here, and I'm not sure he replaced them. I don't think he did. That could come back to bite him in the butt now that he's got his economy kind of back up and running, although he has not replaced the SCVs quite yet. But we're not quite there yet, and even Maru might be identifying that. So, I mean, as far as the long-term game goes, that kind of is a scary thought, not to be comfortably on 8 barracks of production. He does have a Ghost Academy, and he could just add on a second starport and kind of just go that direction anyways, since he's probably feeling the hive. Oh no, he actually literally just scouted everything, so that might be the option.
Good. Yeah. But yeah, so we got personal cloaking for the Ghosts and Liberators coming out here for Maru, which is going to be nice against those Ultras. This Widowmine Forest is a little bit tough to navigate for soO, so be very careful.
That is a forest. You're right about that.
Ooh. The Lings actually go past the Widowmines here and get a nice little bit of engagement. Most of those Widowmines have gone down. Plenty of Lings and Banes still left over for soO, but he decides to pull back, and I actually don't mind that. Can use a bit of that extra supply cap to get those Ultras out. 3 of them are in production now. Maru is going for Ghosts and Liberators now, and I guess when you have multiple, when you have lots of extra CCs like this, you can, but strangely enough, it's not full gas mining from that 4th base in the top left. I actually would have assumed that he'd need a lot more gas than this to make like Liberator Ghost happen, but I guess he's not producing too many Ghosts or Liberators at the same time.
Yeah, and I think he is. It's not really for a base comfortably because we had such a long period where he was down literal mining as well as SCVs. So he's just adding on the more production. He's just starting to get a bit of a mineral bank, which he really does rapidly need to use here. He's basically just saying, I hope defensively it always works out, which it did just do, right? His Widowmine scared the pretty overwhelming Zerg army off. He really needs that 5th base. He really needs to get maxed out. And then we can see Maru's late game capabilities, his micro, his control of his Ghosts and Liberators.
Yeah. You see that soO's getting that final upgrade for the Ultra, the Anabolic Synthesis. Ultra speed getting made here. And look at this big wraparound. The Baneling's getting into that bar on the right-hand side. And that's not too much here for Maru. Those Ultras can stand and fight, especially with the support of the Banelings. That CC is dead.
So is Maru, I'm thinking. I'm guessing he didn't expect the army to be that aggressive. His Ghosts aren't getting any snipes down. They're a little late to cloaking, and yeah, he was just all over the place. A lot of his army is also in those medevacs now, so it's very deceiving. GG.
GG. Well, that was a fun little TVZ there with soO getting the better of Maru there in game 1. Pretty action-packed though. Lots of fast maneuvering. Lots of nice, cute little micro, and lots of great decisions from both players. It's a good time.
For sure. It was what you would expect from a TVZ. Maru definitely fell behind. I think once the 2nd or 3rd attack on the left side failed, and then there was the very weird base trade race thing. I think he just had a hard time recovering from that. There was a chance he could. I'm not saying he was always behind, but it was a far weirder game than usual, and more power to soO to show how good he is still with the Ling Baneling Muta. Sometimes you're like, oh, these players that were amazing Heart of the Swarm still amazing with that, and you go, oh yeah, they still are. Okay then. Yeah,
certainly. The attack on that 3rd base of Maru when he killed that one command center, it broke in through the natural. It did feel like even though Maru had an extra couple command centers left over, he was still playing catch up and lost all of his add-ons and missed a lot of production. Just the income being stifled for that long seemed to really hurt him. He also lost a lot of his army supply to a counterattack across the other side of the map without a medevac support as well, from memory. But yeah, there's a lot of factors.
I do wonder if he had medevacs there, if killed 2 bases and then just got out of town, would have been better. But he still would have lost all the bases he did lose. I think it just would have been a minor save on like. I say minor, but like a good save on like 30 army supply. That was such a...
Yeah.
That was a weird game. You know what? I feel like Parasite just opens up more opportunities for a game like that. But we'll see. I would throw out the idea that the Terran players do mech on this map, but I've never pinned Maru as a mech player, like, ever.
No. I mean, I've seen him do it before, but I feel like it's been a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Well... maybe he'll change his plans up. At least he's not doing a proxy. But soO is changing his plans up. Oh, okay. In the top left, there's the red Terran. He is Maru.
And in the bottom right, going for the Roach Rush. This is soO, or the Roach Ravager Rush, I should say.
Yeah, this is...
It's a nasty build here. Not something you see too much anymore these days. If you detect this build as a Terran, you get one of those Cyclones up or a Siege Tank, and you really shut this down. But you have to see it coming, and you have to react to it. If you're going for like a fast expand, you build your CC on location, and you don't get that bunker up on the high ground, you don't get a factory with a tech lab on it, you are going to have a bad time.
Yeah. I mean, there is one difference as far as, months ago, if you were watching the same build happen when it was truly popular, and that you can't just get a Cyclone anymore, which was usually the unit that you went for when you were in the oh crap phase, when you did no scouting whatsoever, and if any indication this is happening, you'd go oh crap, and you get a Cyclone, and it was still tough to hold. But you can't really get it as fast, right? You have to wait for a tech lab. So really, it's always been the case. It's ideally you get to scout this, whether you literally send an SCV across the map or the Reaper disregards these pesky lings and just goes across the map. And if you don't, it could be an easy victory for the Zerg. So what is Maru going to do? He's going to potentially check for the lings, try and get them sniped down easy peasy. Nope. No, he does not. So he's going to be brought back by that. Oh, that is a hard sentence to say. And
brought back by that. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. And then soO will have his roaches undetected. And okay, yeah, he gets brought back by them. No.
He's going to put a tech lab immediately on this factory here.
Once he realizes what's up, but 2 lings is not that suspicious, not yet anyways.
I think with the, okay, yeah, he did hold off on those lings for a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so yeah, maybe the jig is not up yet. Yeah, the factory's going on to the reactor here, and that means that Maru does not know what's happening.
Oh no! Oh, and he swapped it off too. Such a late scout. Oh, there it is. You can't react without Cyclones anymore.
Yeah. Feels bad, man. This is going to be a little bit tough for Maru to hold here. It's in that bunker. It is kind of in range of these Ravagers, and the SCVs absolutely need to be pulled here to stay alive in this game. The Ravagers are going to continue to stream across the map here for soO. He's got that Overlord in a nice spot, which can't really be contested either. He can give himself that high ground vision so he can start filing the wall and even the bunker potentially here of Maru. He's got a lot of the SCVs. Maru's still up in workers because soO is going for such a dedicated attack. But as I said, the bunker is in range of files here as long as he has high ground vision.
He needs to finish it so he can repair it. Oh, it's going to be close. No, it's not going to happen.
I think he's going to bend it down.
No. Oh, that kill
put in there, but...
on the 3rd Ravager was quite important there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Maru is looking like he's going to potentially get 1 Cyclone at least out now. And even though the Cyclones were easier to get in last patch, they are a lot better against this than they used to be. The Cyclone can lock on and micro for days here against these Ravagers. But he needs to get it out here, and he needs to control it very, very well. Yeah, he's also supply blocked, so no more units here for Maru for a little bit. This Viking does get the Overlords. He's lost that high ground vision. And here we go. That Cyclone needs to be saving grace here.
Sick land with a Viking. Not really adding a ton of damage usually, but it did stop the Ravagers from retreating, which almost led to 2 of them, 3 of them almost dying. Oh, okay. You can't really chase. Cyclone's going to die, I think, if you do. Oh, okay, chase 1 down. Chase 2 down.
Well, each lock-on equals a dead Ravager, so soO needs to be very careful as well. He's still rallying across the map. This is a, this is a very dedicated attack here from soO. There's no natural at all for the Zergs. Maru, don't lose that! Holy crap!
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my heart.
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Oh, man. The fact that Maru was able to hold on with the latest possible scout on this build is already amazing. I mean, there's so many tiny things he did so correctly that I won't overanalyze now because, again, as you said, soO is still all inning. This isn't like, okay, now we can pause and talk about our life and stuff. Like, no, he's about to do it again. But there are some really good things that Maru did.
So how are you, ZombieGrub? How's things? Like...
Oh, yeah, it's, let's talk about everything besides the game. Now, this game is going to end one way or another probably right now.
I think once a Banshee comes out, this is super, super over. And soO, still no natural, no transition. This is very much a... I have to end the game with this unit composition, and the longer it goes, the better it is for the Terran.
This Cyclone is so dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh. Good.
And there's going to be multiple in a second here. In fact, I think there already is multiple, right? Oh, no, that's the second Cyclone coming out now. Well, here we go. soO's last shot.
It does not work. Banshee's going to pop out, and that'll be it. soO got everything he really needed to win this build, except for the literal final push into the bunker and the kill.
That is G-Jizzle. Maru's got this one.
I cannot emphasize how cool it is that, I guess using the word cool is a little bit biased, but that Maru's SCV surround and what seemed like a futile effort, you know, it already seemed like, oh my god, he didn't scout it, he's gonna die, who cares if he kills one Ravager, ended up saving a bunker, then ended up holding until the Cyclone, so on and so forth. That's, I mean, that's what you gotta do. It's just, it's cool stuff there. So Maru barely hangs on, as this is the loser's bracket and only a best of 3. He needed to tie things up. Now he needs to take the final game.
I think maybe part of the reason why Maru had a better time holding in that game was the rush distance on Parasite is quite huge. So even though, you know, you turn them into Ravagers and Ravagers move pretty quickly across the map versus just straight up Roaches, it is still a long walk. So potentially that could be another factor there.
I think you're right to mention that. It's one of those things that you mention, but you quickly say, well, it doesn't mean that they can't do it. It just means that if they do it, then maybe that's that 1 second that they absolutely needed, and that was probably a game that's exactly the case. Against
the worst Terran, I think this is an auto win. A lot of the time, when you know, it's tough for Terrans to deal with this without the earlier Cyclone.
Exactly. Well, soO, you know, up 1, you try something on a map maybe they aren't expecting. It doesn't work out. Does Maru treat him in kind? No, he does not. It is a nice Maru. It is a non-proxy Maru for this IEM American Server Qualifier. Who would have thunk it? In the top right, as the Red Terran tying things up, it is Maru.
That's it, man. And in the bottom left, winning game 1, losing game 2. How will he do in game 3? This is Chivo's soO.
This isn't even the qualifying match. That's why it's not a best of 5, guys. Like, they need to win this, and then one more against either SOS or Zest. Oh, Hero Lust. Womp womp.
Womp womp. That feels bad, man.
All right. Well, yeah, so you have to win against that, like one of those guys, and that's going to be difficult as well.
This is the kind of map that if Maru was going to proxy on, it'd be this one. Like, this guy live, I don't, like, it has literally been a year since I've seen Maru not proxy on blue shift against a Zerg. So, soO is sort of just going for that early pull to be safe. You can see that there's no gas being taken just yet. And he's getting that natural up, all pretty regular stuff. Not drone scouting or anything like that. When was the last time you saw a Korean Zerg drone scout a Terran?
So glad you specified Korean Zerg. Been a while. I mean, maybe there was one versus like Flash one time on the really, really old 4-player map. They tried to catch him CC first. This would have been like 5 years ago. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah, not really something done. But Maru SCV scouts, so he's going to be very well prepared, as soO was doing something kind of like, you know, a little tricky, like kind of getting in your mind. You send the links forward again, and they're like, oh my god, is it going to be another Roach attack? And no, there's a hatchery on the way. So it's not a Roach attack, and it's also not going to be any particularly fast speed. So that clears things up, and of course, the main benefit too is you get the Reaper to go ahead and just shoo those things away. No delay on the command center.
Yep, and we're having a pretty regular opening here. Once again, Maru going for the 1-1-1 opening and not being having his plans foiled by a Ravager rush. He's actually going to get those Hellions up this time. And soO is just heading towards a 3rd base. Very standard TVZ early stages.
Yeah. Maru, what is the next choice here? Starport? Yeah, alrighty then. See if he does another Hellbat attack. His Hellbat attack wasn't terrible in the first game. I feel like it did it did enough of its job. He made like 2 extra Hellions, and maybe he would have really wanted to when they didn't end up getting a lot of drones done. But they took a long time to clean up, and sometimes that length of how long it takes something to clean up, it means a lot less drones miss, or a lot less drones made. Macro cycles miss, so on and so forth. Sometimes it can really help. Seemed to follow up into a decent 2 medevac drop too. That's where he really got that advantage in that game.
I think I would feel like it's going to be Banshee if the starport was closer to the barracks, so it can do that add-on switch. Also, I don't think the barracks has an add-on on it yet. No, it doesn't. So,
is it just a? I mean, I want to say regular, but it's not. It's just, is it a different armory Hellbat push with the medevac instead of the Banshee?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, okay. there goes the armory there. So you're absolutely right. For all you nublets and scrublets out there that aren't too aware, the Hellbat is actually a buyer unit once it switches into a Hellbat. So the medevac does heal it. And this is a pretty powerful potential attack here. You can do a lot Obviously, with the medevac, you have a bit of mobility, but even standing and fighting with the medevac support, it's quite nice as long as the medevac's still alive. Got to be careful against those queens. And I do like the soO on the other side of the map that he's getting a Roach Warren right now. So taking not only the threat of Hellions very seriously, but Hellbats as well. Roaches do pretty nicely against both.
So he has no idea what Maru is doing. Like, seriously no idea. I guess he saw the Hellions, so I guess he knows he went Hellions, but no armory, no like 3rd CC potential, just and didn't see the medevac. But those roaches might pop out in time as long as he moves his drones. I thought Maru might start this off with a Hellion drop, and in fact he is just a Hellion drop. And soO could think it's just a Hellion drop too, and he's not responding quickly at all here.
Yeah, this is an incredibly late reaction from soO. He's lost so many drones. I mean, if Maru's going to stand and fight here with these Hellbats, and I don't blame him for it because he's probably surprised himself at how well that went.
No lings, no lings.
He's going into the natural now.
Oh, God. Not a lot of lings now, anyways.
Yeah. Got that nice position between the minerals here. Really gunning down these lings. The roaches are helping out now. The Hellbats are being dunked on the drone line. They don't catch them with a nice big flame, but he's killed so many workers already. Maru is up 15 SCVs up that attack, and that is so wonderful. This might force soO's hand to go for a big counterattack with roaches. It's such a tough thing to do, though. Maru's going to have a tank out shortly and a Banshee.
Yeah, he's so prepared against any potential roach counterattack. He even saved the medevac. I mean, good lord, 6 HP left on that thing. A roach attack's not going to work, but you're right, soO just is going to feel desperate. He is desperate. That was way too many drones to take damage, and can't even fill these 2 bunkers, oh god. But he's fine. He's fine. It's just I don't even know if he's gonna kill any SCVs.
No, I mean there's a Liberator here as well. I mean the Liberator can be biled down potentially, but I doubt he's gonna be losing a tank or a Banshee, and that they will eventually stop this attack from soO. soO's not droning. He's just making units, and that means that Maru should be able to hold, and this is probably going to be his victory here.
Cloak is not done, so the queens will help a little bit, but only the Banshee feels the need to go forward.
I feel like the tank's the biggest deal behind that, behind these bunkers, which are full of units, by the way.
Yeah. There's not a ton of lings. There's not enough units of any sort to really rush a single tank. And then on top of that, he has the bunkers. He has everything else protecting it, so...
3rd didn't die either.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's a pretty good spot for the Terran. It's not bloody bad. 2nd tank here as well. Banshee now has Cloak. No Overseers. No Lair.
1 tank doesn't even go down. Everything seems to be going wrong for soO. Who just, I mean, it was a somewhat typical opener. I guess Hellion drops aren't as popular as they used to be, but oh my god, Maru, no, you are not prepared to actually go out and face that army. This could have been a huge mistake.
Yeah, it could potentially have been. We've got those lings flooding on in here. The SCVs, though, body blocking for these tanks. The tanks are all still alive. And even though things got interesting there, it does look like Maru is still going to hold. The Banshees are still alive, cloaked and gunning down what's left of soO. That bunker is still up, and that is going to be a hold so far. More and more lings are streaming across. He's salvaging the bunkers. Why? No, your opponent's all in.
He's that confident. No. The Banshees can't be countered.
The tank.
I think he's fine, man. The Banshees couldn't be countered, even if, like, the best he was hoping for was that his queen survived, outlasted the cloak, which they almost did. But he has no option to get an Overseer. So, I mean, I'm with you. Maru was playing a little fast and loose with his defense. Oh my god, are you serious? He saves the Banshee, but I think he's alright.
I was, oh my god, if I was sitting on a lump of coal, it would be a diamond right now. I was so scared for Maru. Holy crap, this Liberator is so cash money for him though. Like, it does look like Maru still wins this game, but yeah, there we go, GG. Oh!